Hey, this is Stacey Hall from staceyhall.com. Do you ever get the objection? I'm not salesy. I don't think I can do this. I don't like sales. I'm not good at selling things. If you ever get that objection, stick around because I'm going to help you learn to navigate that one like a pro. Right now, I'd like to encourage you to go and subscribe to my channel while you're here. Somewhere around the video, there will be a place to do that because every week I put out a brand new training designed specifically to help you build your business leveraging social media. If we've never met before, my mission is to simplify online marketing and to make it fun for entrepreneurs to increase their confidence, influence, and results. So you have a prospect who's potentially interested in what you're doing, but then they tell you that they don't think they can do it because they don't like sales. They're not good at selling. This is an incredibly common objection, and a lot of network marketers trip all over themselves trying to sort this one out. So let me help you. This is what usually happens. A lot of network marketing companies teach their people how to say that what we're doing is not really sales, that it's just sharing. Don't worry, honey, we're not selling, we're just sharing. We're just sharing something we love. That's all it is. Come on, people, it's so lame. We aren't just sharing. We're selling. This is partially a sales-driven business, right? I mean, if we don't have customers, we have no business. So when you tell somebody that we're not selling, we're just sharing, it's very condescending, it's manipulative, and people, they see through it. So they think it's really, I don't know, it's really icky. It just makes people feel like you're trying to manipulate them into believing something that isn't true. Let's face it, sharing is like, you know, you go and see a movie that you love and you go, hey, I just saw this new flick. It was really cool. You might want to check it out. I think you'd really like it. That's sharing. You have no personal agenda and you don't actually gain anything financially by sharing that information with your buddy, right? Now, if you are sharing a skin cream that you really love, and then the person's like, oh, cool, awesome, thanks for sharing, and then you say, whip out your credit card and pay me $149, that's selling, okay? That's not sharing. So let's just get that one off the table right away. If you are using that, if you are telling your prospects that we're not selling, we're sharing, please stop that right away because it's disingenuous and people see through it anyway. So that's the first thing. The other thing that's very typical with network marketers is when they get an objection, they often have a tendency to kind of belittle themselves, bring the energy of the whole conversation down a notch, and they position themselves in a place of weakness, right? And when you say things like, oh, it's actually not that hard, you know, it's really simple, we don't really have to sell, we're just sharing, and sharing is caring, right? It just makes you seem really weak, and it positions you in, you know, a lower energy level position, which typically doesn't work, okay? What you've just done is you've given the power over to the person who is giving you the objection in the first place. Here's what your objective should be when dealing with an objection in general, okay? I got this from Ray Higdon originally. He's the one who taught this, and in fact, he taught a lot of the strategy I'm sharing with you today. But what he says is, our mission when dealing with an objection should be to actually change the mindset of the person who thought of the objection in the first place. It's basically a break in the thought process that gets that person thinking, I never really thought of it that way. That's what you want to accomplish. So what you want to do is you actually want to do the total opposite of what they're probably expecting from you. What does that mean? That means you don't want to convince, you don't want to cajole, you don't want to minimize, you don't want to use cutesy little phrases and analogies. You want to set them up for success right from the beginning. So what does that look like? Okay. If you're telling somebody that they're not selling, and if you're telling somebody that it's easy peasy, it doesn't require any effort, and you're oversimplifying this whole process and underplaying how much is actually involved, you're setting that person up for failure before they even start. Because the minute they get into the business, and suddenly now you're asking them to go to trainings, you're asking them to learn how to prospect, learn how to recruit, and yes, learn how to sell, they're going to be all like, well, what do you mean? I thought this was easy peasy pudding and pie. I thought we were just sharing and caring. Right? So all of a sudden, they're going to be completely overwhelmed and feeling like you kind of duped them. So we don't want to do that, okay? Clearly we don't want to dupe people, okay? So don't set them up for failure by, making this into something that it isn't. Here's how you're going to handle it, okay? You're going to basically say to the person, if they say to you, I'm not good at sales. I don't think I could do this. I'm not a salesy kind of person. You're going to say, oh, thank God. Oh, perfect. It's really simple. You're just going to say, oh, thank God, or oh, thank goodness, whichever you're more comfortable with. And they're going to be like, oh, thank goodness? What do you mean? What do you mean, oh, thank goodness? And you're going to say, well, truthfully, we don't actually take on a lot of salespeople, but when we do, we generally have to completely help them unlearn everything they've learned. Because traditional salespeople tend to, learn how to look at everything very transactionally. So they're looking at how many units they have to move to get a certain amount of money. They're not thinking about building community. They're not thinking about building relationships. That might work well in traditional sales environments, but in our business, it doesn't work so well. So people who really are kind of setting themselves up for failure right from the start are the hardcore salespeople. So we don't take them on very often, but when we do, we usually have to untrain them first, and that takes a lot of time and effort. So I'm really glad that you're not a salesy person, that you're not super into sales, because that's going to save us a lot of time. But what I do need from you, if you want to make some extra money for your family, I do need you to be coachable, okay? If you are coachable, I can show you step by step exactly how to do this, and you can win big. But if you aren't coachable, if you're not someone who's coachable, then you're probably right. This might not be for you. Bam! That's what you're going to say. Or a variation therein. Like I said, you never follow things verbatim. You have to make it your own. But what's important about that is you're going to say, oh, thank goodness, when they tell you they don't like sales. And they're going to say, because traditional salespeople tend to have to unlearn their behaviors, and it takes a lot of time. You not having a lot of experience or even no experience is a benefit to us because it saves us time, as long as you're coachable. If you're not coachable, you're right, this probably isn't a fit for you. This positions you as powerful and postured. You're not lowering your energy. In fact, you're heightening the energy. You're taking control of the energy back. And that person is not expecting that. They're used to people trying to convince them, and you're not. You're telling them straight up, this is what I need from you. If you can't do that, this probably isn't for you. So it's a bit of a takeaway, but it's honest, right? You're being totally honest with that person. You're not setting them up for failure. You're setting them up for success. They know they're going to have to learn step by step how to do this. They're not going to be good at it right away necessarily, right? They have to be coachable. They know what to expect. There's some learning involved. Very, very powerful, yet super simple. What we're telling them is absolutely accurate. Most traditional salespeople think of things from a very transactional standpoint. They're not used to building relationships and building community, which is what's so critically important in our industry, right? They're used to thinking 1 unit sale, this amount of money. And oftentimes, when they come into an industry like ours, and they're super, super salesy, the people that they bring in look at that and they think, I can't do that. That's not me. I'm not like that. And so then those people feel like they can't be as good as the person who brought them in, and that sets them up for failure. I hope that helps, guys. I hope that was really useful to you. By all means, please share this with people who you think can benefit. Sharing is caring, right? So funny. If you're not already on my blog, head on over to stacyhall.com. As I mentioned, I have free trainings there for you every single week that you can use to build your business more quickly, leveraging social media. I've had a great time hanging out with you on this episode. Make sure you read to the very end of the blog post because there might be a little surprise for you there. Just saying, maybe. See you guys on the next episode. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now.